Now, I just got a question through YouTube from somebody watching one of the videos on spray tips, because I just did a video on the spray tips and what they look like at different sizes. Sorry, just put the mic down. And in particular, this person wanted to know, when should you be changing your spray tips? How do you know when to swap it for a brand new one? After all, they are bloody expensive and you only want to change it if you really have to. Now, we do have a handy little image that tells you when, but as a golden rule, it's at 25% wear. The question is, when do you know it's at that 25% wear? Now, it's easy to work out. I use the same machines pretty much day in, day out. If I'm doing line marking, I insist on taking my Graco 5900 because it is my absolute favourite, and it's the only machine I want to take with me. Now, I know if I'm using, for example, a 321 tip, and I use 1500 psi, which is where I always spray. Now, you can go up to 3300 psi if you want. I'll always start around 1500 and I'll go 6 inches off the ground. Now, what happens is on a brand new tip, it will look like this. So I'll get a really nice spray pattern. This says 30 centimeters, I appreciate it's going down in sizes. Mine, for example, at 6 inches, I will get 4 inches, 1500 psi. Now, it will change varying on the product you're using as well as the machine. It does actually swap around a little bit. But what I'll do is every time I go and spray a line in on a brand new site, I recheck my machine. So I set up my lasers every time I get there, and I also set up my spray tips and make sure I'm getting the right width. Check the width because I'm usually doing 4 inch. Now, what I'll do is I'll set it to 1500 psi, and if I'm not getting 4 inches, what I'll do is I'll up the pressure. But what that typically means is my line is going to start looking like this one here, so I get a bit more of an oval shape to it. Now, what you want to do with the rule of 25%, essentially if it starts out 4 inches, once you lose 1 inch, so it goes to 3 inches at 6 inches off the ground, 1500 psi, and you're only getting a 3-inch wide line, that's the point I would know when to throw that tip away and buy a brand new one. Now, I know they're expensive. If you go for the RACs, they could be 50, 60 quid. If you go for the XHDs, they might be a little bit cheaper, but they're still really, really expensive. So I do get why it's difficult to do. Now, what will happen is you will start to get this sort of effect, and the line will continue to get thinner like this. Now, you can, like I said, you can combat this by turning your pressure up and you will get back to a 4 inch, but you will get this oval shape until eventually you get a diamond shape. Now, what happens is the orifice, the little hole inside it, if you like, this little bit inside here, that gets bigger. Now, the problem with that obviously is it's going to change the amount of paint that goes out, so you're going to use a lot more paint. It's going to be a lot less economical per meter that you're striping or line marking anyway, so you are actually going to lose money by having a worn out tip. Also, your line's just going to look naff. When you get to the very start and the very end, what you want to avoid is this oval shape. I want a really sharp, crisp edge on my lines, and so having a brand new tip is the best way to do it. As soon as they start wearing out, you get that oval shape until you get a diamond. Bin that thing off way before then. So my rule would be work it out at 25% wear. Best way to work that out is get a brand new tip, whatever spray, PSI, and inch off the ground, whatever it is you're normally using, just stick with that and measure it. So spray it on the ground, and if you're 7 inches, 8 inches off the ground and you're 2000 PSI and you spray it down, you're getting 5 inches or whatever it is, that's absolutely fine. Just check that again every week, and as soon as you see a 25% wear, that's the point at which I would bin that off and say, time for a brand new tip. That's pretty much it for this one. Anyway, I will see you all in the next one.